somehow we still crossed it. Mad cause the world never listened right. Mad cause your truth always turned.
So there's some interesting information that's coming out and that's being alleged when it comes to Nolan's phone. Now, there have been two things that I've keyed on and focused on since this story came out, since the investigation started. The first thing was what the heck happened to Nolan, which is everybody saying, but not specifically what happened to Nolan with his friends, but what happened to Nolan with the last person who saw him alive. Who is that? Where are they? Where did Nolan go? Did he go to the other side of the island and go to the bathroom and then he just got into the water and disappeared? Did he get on a boat with someone else? Who saw what happened? The second thing and the main thing I've been focusing on, and we talked a lot about, is Nolan's phone. Now, we know there was a lot of skepticism coming from Nolan's family side, specifically with Christine. She's been outspoken about that when it comes to accessing his phone. She even said from the beginning, it looks like there were messages missing. It looked like there were texts. It looked like there were photos missing from Nolan's phone, and she did not know why. So we already knew from the beginning that Nolan's family had a major distrust for local law enforcement and even the friends who were involved in this case. Now we're hearing reports that the police actually never got access to Nolan's phone. Now, there's two sides to this, of course, just like there are in every story. There's really three sides to every story. But in this case, I want you guys to let me know if you think you understand this. Do you understand them keeping the phone, wanting to go through their own independent discovery, their own independent investigation, or do you think it should have been handed over to authorities immediately? Because we're going to find out here, and shout out to Sarah Fields for reporting on this over on X. She says, allegedly, not long after July 6th, Al Sharpton told TMZ that Nolan's phone had been wiped clean. I don't know why Al Sharpton's speaking on this, but either way, Al Sharpton said, and quote, all of his photos, text messages, and everything on the phone had been erased. Allegedly, the authorities were given Nolan's phone. Christine Wells never turned it over. Therefore, the claim that anything was erased will remain unproven and unsupported allegation. If anything was actually erased, as they asserted, they clearly didn't care enough to have it investigated, or it wasn't his friends who erased it. Now, again, this is a lot of speculation in here. Again, Sarah's been doing a great job investigating this, but I think we got to pump the brakes on this a little bit because we don't know if they have their own expert, if they got with the Celebrite, if they got with someone who could look into and get the data information from this phone. We do know that they have reached out to and they actually subpoenaed Snapchat, Google, Facebook, and multiple other companies to try and get Nolan Wells' data. So the question you want to ask is, well, why are they asking for this if they already have his phone, if they have his phone in their possession? So again, I would hold off on making any conclusions here, but it's interesting to hear that that's what's being said. Secondly, Sarah says this. She says exclusively, sources say that Nolan's cell phone was never turned over to authorities. And according to a credible source, allegedly, I want to make that very clear, with close proximity to and knowledge of the investigation, that more than 30 days after the death of Nolan Wells, his mother, Christine Wells Wansley, has allegedly not surrendered Nolan's cell phone to authorities. That might be understandable. This is the same cell phone that became a major point of speculation almost immediately after Nolan's disappearance and death. Christine herself made Nolan's cell phone a significant part of the public's suspicion. I think I thought about that myself. I didn't need Christine to do that. The fact that they had his phone and Nolan didn't have his phone with him, I think was the biggest red flag to anybody who saw this from the beginning. Now, initially, Christine said Nolan's phone was not with him on Horn Island. According to her own account, the family tracked the phone using Life 360, determined that it was back on the mainland, and had a family friend retrieve it from a friend's house. And Warren testified to that, or I guess said that during an interview as well. Now, Christine then publicly discussed that she and her sister found, or more importantly, what they didn't find when they went through Nolan's phone. She said they checked both his Snapchat accounts and found no photos or videos from that day because less than 24 hours had passed and Nolan was someone who normally took photos and videos while out with close friends. Christine suggested that the content must have been deleted. Then it makes me wonder, were text messages and information that they knew should have been there not there? Again, guys, is it possible? Maybe. Those statements helped fuel multiple conspiracy theories and unverified rumors surrounding Nolan's phone and what may or may not have been removed from it. It was later clarified by multiple witnesses that Nolan left his phone on the boat along with several others as it was not custom to walk around or wade through the water with their cell phones on their person. Christine later clarified her statements, acknowledging that she did not actually know whether anything had been deleted. Her belief was based on the fact that she found it strange that Nolan apparently had not taken photos or videos that day. But now there's a much bigger question. According to a source, allegedly, more than a month after Nolan's death, Christine refuses to turn Nolan's cell phone over to authorities. Again, I think that may be because they're doing their own investigation and they want to explore every single avenue of what happened until they hand the phone over to authorities. To me, that makes the most sense. But again, y'all let me know what you think. And then she says, if Christine genuinely believes foul play may have occurred, and if she believes Nolan's cell phone could contain important evidence connected to what happened, why has the phone not been surrendered to investigators for forensic examination? She has stated that she wants the truth. Well, probably because they've raised nearly $1 million and they can do their own investigation. Again, I'm just thinking with common sense, guys. I don't know. This is all speculation. This is, let's be honest, speculation by Sarah here. In my opinion, if you raised $1 million and you can do the investigating yourself, probably, maybe in a lot of cases at a higher level than local law enforcement, just do it yourself. I'm not turning over. Guys, I got this. I'm going to go to the best of the best. We got Ben Crump. We got Colin Kaepernick. We got Tyler Perry. We got $1 million. And I'll do the investigating and find out exactly what happened on this phone. And if you guys want to use that report as a part of your grand jury, evidence, then go ahead. And once we're done, I'll give you the phone. So yeah, I don't know. Could they keep a copy of the phone and then use that? Probably. I don't blame. And I, especially with the statement, as you guys know, I keep harping on that the sheriff made shortly after Nolan Wells was found, saying that there wasn't any suspicion of foul play. Christine's like, no, I'm done with you guys. We're going to do this ourselves.
So we're going to stop there. Good afternoon, good evening to everyone who's entering into the chat, everyone who's in the building. We appreciate everyone who has tuned in to Town Hall number 4 as we speak about some of the new videos. I won't even say evidence, just new videos that have come out. Just more information to put out there for you guys who are not able to watch everything, because I know it's a lot coming out. So again, this town hall is just to raise awareness to what's going on, but also for people to be able to give their own opinion and their own side. So, Rain, how do you feel initially about the phone issue with Miss Wells still having the phone and not being turned over? How do you initially feel about that conversation?
With the private investigation, the independent investigation being done with Crump and his team and whatnot, I would hope to think that she's already done that with the investigators that they have. I don't know for sure if she hasn't done. Do we know for sure that she hasn't done that with the investigators that they had? We don't know for sure. So, but with that being said, I don't see why it was still. Obviously, and this is in my opinion, she has some trust issues with the local law enforcement there. She is not trusting their investigation fully. So that may be her reason for not wanting to turn over the phone to investigators. But also, why haven't they issued a warrant for evidence? In the same, so I still have my stance on. I understand Mississippi is trying to do a thorough investigation. The local law enforcement is trying to do a thorough investigation there, and I understand that it takes time. But I still think that they drug their feet a little bit, and we don't know what they have turned over to the grand jury yet as well. So,
okay, yeah. All great questions. All great questions. We are going to have some legal experts actually answer some of the questions that we are asking ourselves tonight. We actually have some video footage of certain attorneys that are going to give their reasoning why they feel like the phone is not actually being turned in. The only question that this spirals to me is, if you have this and you're not making any attempts to get this phone either unlocked or get the information extracted, what side of the story do you want? Like, that's something that no one else has, right? The Mississippi DA doesn't have it. Like, no one outside of the Wells family has that one item of possible evidence that could be used. So as just a person, just thinking from just a logical standpoint, why wouldn't we go ahead and give everybody that pertinent information?
right.
Like, why wouldn't you already, like, why would we want everybody to focus on a CTO audio or a picture of a boat, or like all these things that everybody's trying to like convince themselves what they see or hear? But this is the one piece of evidence that, again, Class E said it very good, right? Very eloquently. You got all this funding behind you. Why wouldn't that be your first thing?
Right.
Because it was one of the first things that came out per Al Sharpton, per we just heard from his documentation. So I just think it just makes you wonder, like, if we're looking for truth and you have a source of truth, why wouldn't that be your main go-to? That'd be like if I knew in a possible murk case, I knew where the weapon was that still had blood on it, but I'm just gonna hide it and wait for every other piece of evidence to come out. But I'm not gonna give you the weapon that I already found in the trash can yesterday.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make sense. And it might have my son or daughter's DNA on it. Like I don't, because that, you know what I mean? Like all because and I'm sure you watch a lot of Law and Order, a lot of
Mhm.
so like you
First
think
48,
yeah, you
all
think
that.
about it, outside of the family, couldn't we have gotten handprints off of that to bring in everybody who's questioned who touched the phone that day? You see what I mean? Like you think about it just like a weapon. If somebody finds a weapon that was used in an incident, they're gonna bring everybody in there, whoever had fingerprints on that weapon.
Oh yeah.
You see what I mean? So it's like it's actually could lead us to a lot of pertinent information. You know what I mean? Then we don't have to speculate. We can say, "Yep, okay, Warren, why was your hands on that phone? Okay, what moments were your hands on that?" Like you can bring people in and ask them very pertinent questions. So just it doesn't really raise concern for me because I understand that, like you said, it could be the possible relationship or the fear of handing it over, feeling like it's not going to be done correctly, or but I'm just feeling like, man, how long has it been now? It's been over a month now, right?
Oh yeah.
So I mean, some time has passed.
Month
I
and a
don't,
half, like 7 weeks, I think.
yeah. So I don't know why we wouldn't
6.
want that information.
Mhm.
So we're gonna get to some of these comments. Oh, again, just for some housekeeping, if anybody wants to come up, we will drop the link again for town hall. You can come up, speak for 2 minutes. Me and Rain are not here to combat or go against what you have to say. You can let the world know how you feel, and then we'll let you drop off at 2 minutes. Or if it goes quicker, we'll let you leave the stage. So, but we appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Shout out to our Facebook people over there. We have Miss Deborah, we have Marcus Riley. We appreciate y'all on the Facebook side of things.
Definitely.
So here you go. Let's see here. There you go. We'll start here. Okay.
Bug said, and hey Bug, but why would she delete her son's phone? Penny said, yeah, the cloud would have it, but Apple's privacy laws are pretty strict. So unless they had the password, then I don't know how they would get into it. Yeah. Plug said, now, why wouldn't she turn over the phone? That doesn't make sense. She would want the truth, right? Miss V said, well, why haven't investigators sent a warrant for that phone? Uncle Plug said, all this sounds fugazi to me. I'm just saying. I heard him say that. Fugazi. Miss V said, seat. Penny said they raised a meal. How much goes to Crump and how much to the fam?
Yeah, Crump 33%. If you go look at his website, 33%.
Mm-hmm. Plug said, now that makes sense. She would keep and do their own investigation.
We're gonna give y'all this great show is all gonna correlate. You're gonna see what's supposed to actually happen with the phone.
Welcome in 215. Why not the FBI? I think they were involved a little bit. Uncle Plug said 33%.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Penny said, Uncle, I'm in the wrong business.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Uncle Plug said, me too. Me too. Miss V said, cool beans, thank you. Penny said, I'm with Rain. Lots of cut corners though. Too many to just be mistakes. To be just mistakes. Miles said, are warrants public info? Maybe it was issued and we don't know.
Miles, you're peeking around the corner. You're peeking around the corner. We're gonna play a lot of good information tonight.
Penny said, and fingerprints on the phone is a lot, because now I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Maddie said, I would not turn over his phone to any of law enforcement. They haven't even arrested or questioned anyone, as well as the sheriff saying no foul play before the autopsy. Penny said we do have to consider that there is stuff on the phone because he's a kid, a high school kid. No, he's college, right? He was going to college.
Yep.
That will reflect badly on his character. Maybe that too. Maybe the mama seen something in there that she doesn't want exposed. Maddie said any good parent will have their kid's password.
And Marty, we're going to actually be speaking about that very soon. So we appreciate everybody who's here tonight. We're going to move on to the I call this one Town Hall A Alpha, 1 Alpha, because it goes along with the case as well. So let's see here. Let's share this, and we're going to talk a little bit more here.
As many of you know, we talked about an interesting fact that Nolan Wells' family allegedly had not turned over his phone to the police. Now, there was a video that we dropped and talked about it. And we went into detail on what happened, what was being said by both sides. And now we're actually going to hear verified information from Nolan Wells' family attorney who's going to speak on this. And then we'll actually get into the interview that was recently done by Officer Tatum, where a lot of what's being discussed when it comes to Nolan's phone, when it comes to the audio, the CETO audio specifically in this case. And we'll get into that shortly. But first, Sarah Fields posted this over on X and has done a great job reporting on and covering this. And this is from an attorney that is representing Nolan Wells' family. Here's what they had to say. Dear Mrs. McIlrath, please be advised that A.R. Smith Law, PLLC, has been retained to serve as local counsel for the estate and family of Nolan Wells. Moving forward, I will be working alongside the legal team at Ben Crump Law in representing our client and addressing matters arising from Nolan Wells' death. As the legal team has previously...
And just to give y'all an update for those who probably can't see it, I don't know if you're watching on the vertical or the horizontal. That just came out August the 11th. That just came out yesterday when everybody first found out about the phone. So that lets you know that they are listening to what's going on in the public, what's going on in the content. Like everything is being heard. That's why I was saying our voices are very important and content is very important because they're paying attention to what's actually going on. So, and appreciate the moderators, guys.
Stated, including during our in-person meeting with the Wells family and council, we have been and remain ready and willing to cooperate in arranging a joint forensic inspection of Nolan Wells' personal phone. Now, again, they're probably saying this because they've heard a lot of reports. They've heard people talking about this, and this letter was written yesterday. So they want everyone to know, including whoever's over on the other side, that we're willing to work with you guys to get you the information. This is something I mentioned during the last video. I said they could give them a copy. They could have the phone. They could make a copy, send it to them. There's a lot of ways they could give them access to this phone. And one of the scrutiny or one of the criticism that they were receiving was that if you're trying to find answers, why not give them the phone? And I said to you guys, looking at this objectively, I could understand in a lot of cases why they wouldn't want to give up the phone, because the phone may be a key, and I'm sure Christine believes this, to finding out what actually happened to Nolan. So you don't want to really give something that important up to just anybody, especially if you don't trust local law enforcement. You don't want to say, oh yeah, sure, here you guys go, take the phone. Because local law enforcement, in my opinion, already mishandled the situation from the beginning. So now they say, during that meeting, we specifically discussed having the examination conducted through the Digital Forensics Lab at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, as well as the possibility of the FBI involvement in the process. You guys mentioned this in the comments. I saw it in the last video as well. You said, just hand it over to the FBI. It's a good point. Now, our position has not changed, they say. We are prepared to coordinate a mutually agreeable date and procedure for the examination of the phone. Accordingly, to the extent there has been any suggestion that we have been unwilling or failed to cooperate with the investigation, we want to make clear that that is not the case. Well, there you go. There's the PR move, in my opinion. You also previously indicated that Dr. Mitchell would be provided an opportunity to review the materials necessary for him to complete his autopsy review. We remain prepared to facilitate that process. Please provide us with all the available dates and times for Dr. Mitchell to review those material, along with any instructions necessary to arrange his access. We would like to move both of these matters forward promptly and remain available to coordinate with your office. And that was written by Ahmad Smith. All right, so there's a little bit of commentary that was given there by Sarah. I'm not going to get into that too much, but again, I think it is interesting that this comes out the day we started talking about what was happening with the phone. I don't know if they're watching the channel. I don't know if they're looking at what's going on social media, but I think the timing is funny. So now let's get into what's being discussed about this phone situation and why it's important that the family is choosing and decided to hold the phone back. I see why they would do it. I see why they would want to handle it this way, especially if you want to be in control of all the evidence. But we're actually going to hear from Charles from TMZ. I know and we're going to hear from Don Lemon. He actually did a short and brief interview on Don Lemon talking about some of the things they're finding out behind the scenes when it comes to why the family kept the phone and what that's going to look like moving forward. I'm not going to play the full interview, but I will leave a link in the description so you guys can go and watch this full interview from Don Lemon. Check this out.
I mean, it sounds like the family, I think you nailed it, saying that they're willing to work with the authorities, but they don't trust the authorities. And what I heard, the key thing there is they said they're willing to do a joint forensic examination of the phone. It does sound like they have been holding onto the phone. They don't want to give it to the authorities and let them and leave it to their device, to them to do their process without having their own investigator there at the same time. So it sounds like, basically what they're saying is we'll hand over the phone, but we're going to send our forensic investigator too, and they will sit there with your investigators and go through the phone. But it doesn't sound like they're willing to just hand over the phone and let the authorities do whatever they want with it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, do you guys agree with that? Do you think it's understandable that they wouldn't want to give the phone to authorities, and that now that they have all these resources, they have Ben Crump on the team, that they're able to just do it themselves? They really, I'm going to be honest, guys, you don't really need the police to help you with that. You don't need the police to conduct the forensic interview or to look at the digital forensics of the phone. You can do that yourself. You can go to Celebrite, say, I have this phone I want you to get the information from, and move from there. So again, I mean, do they maybe have more resources? I don't think so. Let me know what you guys think.
So, but it seems, in some of these things, Charles, it seems like a long time, right? I mean, you and I were discussing what happened with some of the other high profile cases and the toxicology reports and all of that, the autopsy reports, all the things. These things don't happen as quickly as people would think in real life, right? It's not like Law and Order where the case is solved and you get all the information within, an hour, 45-minute period.
Well, you can.
No, it's definitely not like that. And, we were just talking about it this morning before our morning meeting that it's coming up on, I believe, 7 weeks now. Mm-hmm. Next week will be 7 weeks. And typically it's around that 7 to 8 week period where you start expecting that there could be toxicology results coming out. Not before that, but every department around the country is different. I'm basing that mostly on cases that we've covered here in LA, but I can't speak to how the process works down in Ocean Springs. But around 8 weeks is when you could say, what's going on here. And obviously people have wanted the autopsy results, the toxicology results. They wanted it, 2 days after Nolan's body was found. It just doesn't work that way. But, if this thing drags on to, beyond 10 weeks, beyond 12 weeks, people are really going to start asking questions. And the question is going to be, and I understand why the sheriff has not wanted to discuss a lot of what's going on in this case. It's an open investigation. I get that. But you also got to be realistic about the fact that this is an incredibly high profile case with a lot of attention around the country and is creating a lot of divisiveness around the country. So, at some point you would think the sheriff has got to come out and say, look, here's where we are. We know everyone wants these results, but we just don't have it yet. And here's what's happening in our lab. They tell us it could be, give people a range or something so they have some expectations. But, that's not happening. And I don't think that it should have happened up to this point. I'm saying that in the next couple of weeks, if we don't hear anything, people are going to get very antsy.
Yeah. And again, I mean, we have to wait for the grand jury. I think there's really nothing that the sheriff can do at this point because, as we know, the district attorney said, listen, we got the autopsy. It's done. It's going to a grand jury now. We'll have to wait and see what the grand jury says. I don't know that the toxicology is done, as they said. So that seems to be most likely the final piece to getting all of this ironed out.
So there you have it, man. Class E does a great job breaking down the news. So I really enjoy taking in his content. He does a great job. So shout out to Class E. What is your thoughts about that? I wanted to play on back to back. So some of the questions were kind of answered for the chat, but they also, because I think we're all on the same page to feel like you can understand why she wouldn't want to hand over the phone.
Yeah.
But we're also at a point now where if you want answers, the world wants answers. Are you waiting for the toxicology report? Like, why did you write a document the day that you see everybody speaking about the phone? Like, how does all this correlate?
Well, I mean, obviously, since the phone was starting to be questioned anyways, I guess they're trying to satisfy the masses and saying, hey, we will do a joint investigation, which is understandable. I feel as though it's understandable. But with that being said, they've got this money. They've got the team behind them to do a private investigation, or so why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they go ahead and say, hey? Or is it because of Apple's privacy laws that it has to be some kind of like law enforcement saying, hey? But then if you got somebody that does that kind of thing, you can just go ahead and do it. Because he's no longer here. And
And
if
I'm sorry.
no, if the mama has power of attorney or she's over his estate anyway, so she should have some kind of say so with what can be extracted from his phone and what can't. Is that I'm not certain how that works, but
This is the question I have, and I maybe I'll do some research myself because I know Marty said good parent. I think she said good parents was the word she used, but she said they would have the password. I don't always agree with that because I don't think every parent out there or all the parents in the chat have their children's password. Especially at his age when he's heading off to college.
right, that's the
With that being said, my next question would be how credible that evidence is if somebody has already tampered with it, not just the people that are allegedly tampered with it, but how do we not know it was not altered by the parents either? Like how good is that evidence if the phone has been unlocked? You see what I mean?
yeah, but they should be able to tell what's going on with it. It's like a
And,
digital
yeah,
thing.
and that's another question, right? Because we're gonna get to it later on in the town hall tonight. One of the attorneys talked about that, right? He talked about once that phone is extracted, the meaning like once that information is taken off of that phone, that now becomes evidence that can be used in any case. It can be the defamation of character. It can be so. Let's say what Marty said was true, right? Maybe they don't want them to know, well, the first time that phone was actually open was when it got into the hands of the Wells family.
Mm.
So because I like with us waiting 7 to 8 weeks for the toxicology, like I don't understand. If I'm a parent, I want all the immediate evidence that I can receive.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait for something that I'm just holding on to like a last ditch effort. Like I'm gonna go ahead and get everything that I can receive back, and then all the extra stuff will be collateral to prove our case. That's how I would look at it if I was a parent. Like this happened to my child. I have this piece of evidence. Now I wouldn't give it over to Mississippi. I agree with that part. Like I
Right.
understand. I understand that.
Yeah.
I get that. I'm not arguing that at all. But I would be like, hey, Mr. Crump, Mr. Kaepernick, hey, how much money we need to extract this information from this phone, and like what legalities we need to get paperwork wise and things of that nature so that we can use everything that we receive as evidence.
Yeah.
So it poses a lot of questions though. I
It
mean,
does. Yeah.
you can see both sides as a parent, but then it's also like, okay, do we want the information or not? So yeah.
Tough stuff. Tristan said, "Did I miss Rain's segment?" Thank you, Tristan. No, this is the same soil, different roots. We don't. I don't.
The
The
whole
rain.
show her segment. The whole show her segment.
Penny said, "Nope." Tristan said, "Bet."
Sco in the building. What's up, Sco?
Let's go. Tristan said, "What's up, Sco?" H2001 said, "Yes." Mighty said, "Hey, Penny and Sco." Sco said, "What's good, Tristan?" Everybody speaking in the chat. Penny said, "What's up, Mighty?" All good, dog. Penny says 7 weeks seems like forever, and it does. It does. Trisha said the government is fulfilling its true purpose, which is why we shouldn't trust them. H2001 said, "Yep." Trisha said we expect them to protect their own people, so that's not a surprise to me. Uncle Plus said everybody hit that like button. Do that while y'all in here. Hit the subscribe button too if you haven't already done so. Penny said I can see it being a leverage play. I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
Gotcha. Okay.
I was disappointed whenever they came out with the independent autopsy before the state.
Yeah, and so Penny, we're gonna get to that too because they're gonna talk a lot about. We're gonna get to hear a lot from the attorneys of the young men. A lot of their phones and stuff were already taken. A lot of things were already looked at. So
Penny said Apple won't even allow the government in unless they have the passcode. Government took Apple to court and lost. Ooh.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Plug said Sco. Sco said, "What's good, Unc?" He said, lift them, bro.
So shout out to everybody who is here for the town hall. Again, remember, all you have to do is let us know in the chat if you would like to come up. We will drop the link for you. You will have 2 minutes to speak about whatever topic you like on the Nolan Wells case. It doesn't have to be just what we're talking about tonight. It could be your opinion, your thoughts, so everybody can hear how you feel about this issue and this incident that happened to Nolan Wells.